Hey guys, let's talk about Bedeviled and E-Demon. I'm going to start with Bedeviled because that's the movie that I saw first. Bedeviled is a movie about a killer app that works kind of similar to Siri and Alexa. I thought that would be a silly but fun premise. After The Den, Unfriended, and Friend Requests, seems like apps were just naturally the next thing that was going to be tackled. Let me tell you that the director or the director of photography were getting on my last nerve. They had all these extreme close-ups for no reason, and when they weren't doing an extreme close-up, they had the camera on a dolly on the floor at some weird angle, almost looking up the people's noses. Why was the camera so low? Whose point of view was this supposed to be? Then all of a sudden the camera was tilted for no reason. Maybe it was for art? Let's talk about the writing. Not one, but two characters run upstairs instead of out the door when confronted with danger. So we didn't learn anything from Scream or the Scream movies, the Scream franchise. The lighting was bugged out too. The way they lit the lead actress in the school bathroom scene was so disrespectful to her. I recently learned about some lighting tricks that they used back in, I believe it was the 1930s. And there was a saying that about shadows, that you can put shadows anywhere except for on the actress's face. And that they used to use like a board, I don't know whether it was a wooden board or cardboard, with lights around it, kind of like similar how nowadays we have ring lights for making YouTube videos, what have you. They would kind of create their own ring light for the actresses back in the 1930s, and that's why they were always lit so beautifully. I did like the bus scene when one character was like, "Negrophobia, that's what you have." I kind of failed to see how chicken and waffles was supposed to be racist. Chicken and waffles is actually pretty damn good. Now if the app had said chicken and watermelon, that's racist. Unfortunately, this movie is just not scary. There's a scene with a lady in a chair, and it's meant to be very frightening, but it's not in the least bit frightening. You want to know why? All they did was put dark makeup around her eyes and put a gray wig on her. That's not scary. It's actually scarier when you make smaller changes, when you adjust something just slightly. That fucks with you more. You make the irises just a little bit bigger, get rid of eyebrows. For some reason, people without eyebrows inherently look scarier. Little small changes that mess with the mind are way more freaky than when you do over-the-top dramatic makeup sometimes. Or you can just play with shadows and sounds. Like the first 30 minutes of Insidious was amazing just with those two things. Another huge issue with this is that the characters just were not as fleshed out as they should have been. I was just about to remark how non-stereotypical the male Asian American character was. He had a girlfriend. He wasn't stereotypically nerdy. He even got a sex scene. And just as I was having these thoughts, they have him talk about the village that his parents came from. And it's super funny because he completely sounds like at least a third to fifth generation Californian. Anyway, he tells a story about a woman who fell into a well. Sound familiar? So now you see they're just about to rip off Ringu. He was told this story by his parents, and it supposedly scared them. But if it scared them, why did they have her picture? Plus, who tells a child this? If they were going to be this ridiculous, they should have went all the way with it and said that the lady had a grudge. Then his girlfriend tells him a story about how she got this really fucked up looking bear from her father, and it was the only thing that her father ever gave her. She said that he told her that he won the bear in a fair. Her dad ain't shit for two reasons. One, the only thing he ever did for her was give her that fucked up looking bear, and two, he lied about winning that at a fair. No fairs, county fairs, city fairs, any type of fair you can think of has bears this ugly. Her dad is trifling. This movie is so backwards. They have a teddy bear scare in the bathroom and the boyfriend gets a scare in the movie theater. Remember Bootleg Sadako that I just mentioned who died in the well? She's the one that did the scare in the movie theater. She should have scared the boyfriend in the bathroom. That makes more sense. He could have gotten up to use the bathroom. Then suddenly he hears wet sounds coming from the tub. Slowly he turns around and sees her hands coming up over the edge of the tub. Now see how I rewrote that scene in my head just then? So much better than what they actually gave us. Now that's where you could make use of that low camera angle you love. And his girlfriend, instead of being scared in the bathroom with the teddy bear, she should have been scared in the theater in the costume department. By the way, throughout this whole movie, where are their parents? Only one mother appeared and she was only there momentarily, then she showed back up at the very end of the movie. I have to read this because there's no way I'm going to remember how to say all this correctly, but these are all the movies that this movie blatantly ripped off. A Nightmare on Elm Street with the classroom dream sequence. It, the clowns in the red balloon. The Ring, like I said, the bootleg Sadako. The Conjuring with the person in the chair with the sheet over the guy. Evil Dead with the reel-to-reel recording. Where do you even get a reel-to-reel? The tape recorder is more believable, since the person wanted to avoid digital equipment, apparently. Child's Play / demonic toys / puppet master with the teddy bear sequence. And I thought there was still a little unfriended in there with the video chat segment. But that could have been a reach. The teddy bear did startle me when he popped up that one last time. I have to admit that. I really wasn't expecting it. That was one of the most fun parts of the movie because it reminded me of Five Nights at Freddy's, if you've ever played that game. Hell, if you ever just watched someone else play that game, it'll still startle you. Although some people like the Abraham Lincoln Fall scare better. You only know what I'm talking about if you've seen this movie. That's why I'm not going to say this is a spoiler review, because a lot of these things, as I'm saying them, you're not going to understand the context unless you've seen the movie. Then they had this really corny scene with Bootleg Sadako where the boy is looking at the picture, and within the picture she keeps getting closer to him. And all I could think about during that whole sequence was the PA who had to come and swap out the picture for each little cut of that scene. But still, that scene was trash, and Bootleg Sadako was a whole mess. So then we come back to Homeboy, who's afraid of cops and white people, which I'm not even making that up. Those are really his fears. He's afraid of cops and white people. He says so in the movie. He would have had it the worst if it wasn't for the teddy bear girl. Then he mumbles something about algorithms and hardware and hard drives, which doesn't make sense because an app is software. At no point do they ever mention or say anything about factory resetting their phones in this whole movie. Or you could just put it in a bowl of water. I mean, unless you have one of those new waterproof phones, but I mean, there's ways, because in the movie they couldn't really turn off their phones and they couldn't uninstall the app, but they never tried to factory reset it and they never tried to break their phones. So he and this girl who has a fear of her grandmother in this abandoned parking garage or factory building or some type of building that they're in, talking on walkie-talkies, trying to make a plan. When her grandma pops up, and it's the funniest shit I've ever seen on film. First, she's half-ass contorting her body like we've seen in a dozen possession films. Then she was creeping around and crawling, and I was laughing my ass off because there's a part, I don't even know if I can reenact it, where she was in the garage and she was really going like this. Like creeping, and it was hilarious. I couldn't stop laughing. I was almost in tears. The brother semi-defeated the app by programming a virus to attack it. Hooray for coding! But he still got in the end when he pretty much sacrificed himself to save the white girl. And what's funny is the movie actually had him make a joke about him surviving as a black guy, and it's like, how are you going to make a joke about a black character surviving and then still kill them off? This movie was written, produced, and directed by the Vang brothers. All I could find out about them is that this is either their second or third, I've seen two different things written, production, and that it's loosely based off of Slender Man. Because this is completely devoid of scare, this goes into my slumber party horror category. As in my first horror movie for children around the ages 10 to 13. Matter of fact, it almost would be better for them because at that age, if they haven't been exposed to a lot of horror, then they actually have the advantage of not knowing the movies that this movie ripped off. I will say this though, the Bedeviled guy was a better looking Joker than what they had Jared Leto do in the Suicide Squad. Now we're going to hop, skip, and jump from a demonic app to a demon that possesses webcams. I only recently found out about E-Demon about a week ago. I want to say it was CML Entertainment, shout out to him, that did a review on it. I had not heard about the movie, I hadn't even seen a trailer for it. So I went into this blind. This falls under that subset of found footage horror that is like Unfriended and The Den, where the whole thing takes place on a computer screen. As the movie starts, I'm sitting here thinking, why is this person opening so many windows on their computer? Like, you don't believe in tabs at all? Then we meet all these friends that they're having a get-together on, kind of look like Google Hangouts. Might be, I forgot what's the one for Apple, because FaceTime. I haven't used FaceTime in so long. It's funny because FaceTime, you usually can only FaceTime one other person. I think only recently they made it so you can FaceTime more than one person without having to use the paid version of FaceTime, whereas Google Hangouts you could have up to, I think it was 10 people last time I used it. But suffice to say, they're on, a Hangout app, and they're giving me 30 something so much. One guy is having kind of an early midlife crisis, and he's trying to show off his fancy house and his girl of the week. Another guy has had to move back home with his parents, and he's going through some difficult financial issues. The lady is recently moved to New York, and she's on the cusp of becoming a published author. And the fourth friend is a guy who is a family man. He's a father of 2 little girls, and he's married and has a nice wife. The guy who's had to move back home actually lives in Salem, Massachusetts. And he decides it would be funny to show all his friends his grandmother telling a story about how the family needs to protect this cursed trunk and make sure never to open it. As we're doing this, the visuals jump from one person's computer screen to another person's computer screen, and I forget whose computer screen was being displayed at this moment, but all the files on her desktop were driving me crazy. I'm a person who does not like a lot of files on my desktop. Put those things in stacks. You don't have to, that's like back in the day you had to have them on your desktop, but now you don't have to have any files on your desktop, so I don't know why you would have more than 1 or 2 of something that you repeatedly use a lot, but I don't know, that was a little pet peeve of mine. I hate a cluttered desktop. The actors playing these friends don't always sell every scene. It's a little uneven, where some scenes are done really well and other scenes are not. So I don't know whether that's a reshoot issue or what that was, but it was very uneven. It's also hard to tell whether it was a writing or directing issue. I still haven't worked that out. This could have been a really interesting story because I like the concept of it, but they dragged it out a lot, and then, God, they started using that rumble noise from Paranormal Activity, and that's after like 5 or 6 Paranormal Activity movies, I think, including the Tokyo Nights one. It's been like 6 movies and that rumble noise is played out. It's not scary anymore. This was so bad, I wanted to give up on it. I really, really did. I was this close to cutting this off and just calling it a loss. Then the female character Kendra started fighting with her roommate and the cops, and that was hilarious because it was so bad. I mean, the stunt work on that was horrible, and I was just laughing my ass off. I did like how her friends that were on the chat were cheering her on. They're like yelling, "Kick his ass," and that kind of stuff. That was kind of funny to me. What made me not turn it off is suddenly the guy with the daughters, for some reason his daughters get possessed and the babies start attacking him with knives. When the baby started attacking him with knives, I said, "What is this? What is happening here? Oh, I have to finish watching this movie." So he ended up having to tie them together back to back to stop them from attacking him. I powered through it because I felt like it was teetering on that point of so bad it's good. And then he runs down into the basement, and why is there just a random laptop sitting on a table in the basement? And this is an unfinished basement. This is not like a basement that's a rec room or that's, a family room or a theater room or anything. It's a complete unfinished basement with just washer, dryer, storage boxes and storage, and a random laptop on a table. I did love how this one character ran out of the house, like some stuff happened, and he ran out of the house and he kept running. And it's funny because at one point in the movie, they all have these cameras that are like attached to headgear. So you see, kind of like if those GoPro movies you might watch, or GoPro shorts that you might see on YouTube or something. So you see him running all the way from the house to his friend's house. I felt like that was the most realistic thing in the movie, because how many people in real life, if you were confronted by hideous evil in your house, would you not run out and keep running until you got someplace you felt was safe? I don't know why isn't that done more in movies, where a character just runs and just keeps running? Then, when you think a movie can't get even dumber, when he gets to his friend's house, they go on the computer and actually go on a website called Demonpedia. I should look and see if that's real. Close. There isn't a Demonpedia, but there is a Demonicpedia, which is also really unsettling. The dude that played the magical mystical Negro really acted his ass off. He sold this bullshit. I think at one point the daughter created a demon baby with her father, but I'm not sure because what she did to him could not at all be described as humping. I don't know what the hell she was doing. It wasn't... Why? I just have that picture of Ryan Reynolds with the with the medical mask on going, but why? And then there was another line that was funny. The magical mystical Negro dude, as he's going in to try to say something, he says, if I don't make it, tell my daughter I love her. Her name's Rashida Crenshaw. I don't know why the name Rashida Crenshaw was. Why is it Rashida Crenshaw? I, that's that. Why is that funny to me? I don't know why that's funny to me. I like the lore that they created. I like how they worked in some things that actually exist, about how sometimes people use dark magic to control people or to harm people, like voodoo dolls or photographs, or like how in years past people thought that cameras stole your soul. Or I believe in this movie they said that some people believe that cameras trapped your soul. So the next level would be a demon that could possess people through web cameras, if you're going with that lore. This movie went some places I didn't expect. Some of the dialogue was very unique, and I liked how they portrayed the children. It reminded me of this movie called The Devil Times Five. I don't know whether it's The Devil Times Five or just Devil Times Five. But if you've seen this movie, it's from the 70s. It's got killer children in it. And the two little girls kind of reminded me of that for a hot second. To keep the movie more interesting, they did bounce back and forth between some scenes taking place on the group chat and other scenes taking place with using the cameras, the head mount cameras. I liked how they did that. That kept me engaged. The group chat obviously is going to remind you of Unfriended in some ways. The head mount cameras kind of reminded me of Wreck, but without the scary payoff. It was like when you're looking at a point of view camera on the head, it puts you in a frame of mind of like Wreck, or like maybe parts of Blair Witch Project, except nothing scary happens. It's just people running around. But all in all, both of these movies were garbage trash. Watch at your own risk. But like I always say, just because I love something doesn't mean you won't hate it. And just because I hate something doesn't mean you won't love it. Have you seen Bedeviled or E-Demon? What did you think of them? Were they so bad they're good, or were they just bad? Bye.